Hey everyone, and welcome to week 5. I can't believe that we are in our very last week. Congrats on making it to this point. We have now run the full gamut of assessment through choosing and administering formal and informal assessments to scoring to interpreting data. And now we're thinking about making instructional decisions in the form of an individualized education plan or IEP. Last week, you participated in the VDOE trainings regarding the development of a standards-based IEP. Essential understanding here is the role of those standards of learning or SOLs. Having a grasp on the grade level expectations at each grade level in reading and math will really help you as you design your IEP. For example, if you've got an assessment that tells you that a student can add large numbers, but not when regrouping is required, the computation strand of the math SOLs will help you determine what's appropriate based on the student's grade level. It wouldn't be appropriate for a second grader to have a goal of 3-digit regrouping when their SOL expectation is 2 digits, I think up to 99. Same goes for reading. There is a specific point at which multi-syllabic words and uncommon vowel patterns are introduced. So use those SOL language and the expectations to help you determine appropriate goals. Staying on the subject of goals, there are general guidelines for writing strong goals, and that is that they are specific, measurable, and attainable. A goal is specific if it details exactly what the student will be expected to do. For example, if you're going to write a reading goal that's phonics-based, you'll need to detail exactly which letter combinations or vowel patterns the student will focus on, and exactly how they will be expected to apply them. For instance, when they need to read them or spell them. Will they need to read them in isolation and in text? A goal is measurable if it can be observed or some product can be created. So we can see which words a student can write, or we can observe them reading words with specific letter combinations. And lastly, a goal is attainable if it's developmentally appropriate and can be reached within a year. You'll hone this skill as you progress, but you can also use the SOLs to help you determine what's expected for a typically developing student by comparing one year to the next and then adjusting based on what you know about your student and their disability. One further note about IEP development: there are very specific requirements from the VDOE for testing accommodations, such as read aloud, the use of a calculator, plain English math, etc. The purpose of an accommodation in a testing environment is to mitigate the effects of the disability without providing an unfair advantage. As we have studied, reliability and validity are essential characteristics to assessment, and so isn't purpose. The read aloud accommodation is a good one to consider this. A student whose reading ability is well below grade level as a result of their disability, and when we say well below grade level, we generally mean more than a year behind. That type of student would have trouble reading in math or science or social studies, but they might know the material. If the purpose of the test is to measure the student's math, science, or social studies knowledge, then reading the test aloud to the student removes that barrier and we can assess their understanding in those subject areas. This becomes a different scenario, however, when you're taking a reading test. There are very specific criteria related to decoding, comprehension, and processing ability that a student must meet in order to qualify for read aloud on a reading test. The calculator accommodation is also very specific. The student must display a particular weakness in memory skills in order to qualify. So please be sure to review this criteria carefully as you work on the accommodations section of your IEP. Good resources for this are the VDOE guidance documents that were provided in Module 4, as well as the content provided in the assignment submission guidelines. If you're unsure about accommodations, I encourage you to utilize the Ask Your Instructor tab to ask a question. I myself needed a lot of guidance when I was coming up as a special education teacher, and I would be happy to assist you. All right, also on tap this week is our final IRIS module and activity. This one will give you the opportunity to really think critically about the accommodations that are appropriate for your student. The discussion board activity will give you an opportunity to reflect on your learning, and there's also an extra credit activity available. There are flexible timelines for the IEP submission, so please read those carefully and understand that those deadlines are strict. I'm happy to meet with you if you get stuck anywhere in the process, so please don't hesitate to reach out. And thanks so much for your dedication during the course. I really look forward to the time when our paths cross again in the future. I'm sure that they will. And best of luck to you as you move into the next phase of your program.